Hey, this is Chad with Back to the Future podcast, and welcome to the debut episode of what I hope to be weekly football card auction review from Fanatics Collect. Now, the goal with this is really to highlight football cards with each and every one of these auctions. I'm a huge football fan, and my collection has taken a turn towards football cards over the past several months. And to be frank with you, I want to learn more. And what I have found is by consuming content of people who do scroll through auctions, I learn a lot. So my hope is that you get to enjoy these cards. I get to deliver you some of the info about sales, and then you and I together are going to try and learn something each and every week. Now, also, I am open to feedback. So as we go through this, if you see things that you want to have me highlight, or if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the chat. With that being the case, let's get right into it. So this is the past auction. So I'm going to start with auctions that just closed, and then to wrap this up, we'll take a quick look at next week's auction. This is for the auction that ended Sunday, September 21st, 2025. Now, I sorted by the highest price cards, and I got to tell you, I'm happy to see the first three cards are of established vets, of course, with Mahomes and Brady, the GOAT. It makes sense to me. As a big-time football fan and as a card collector, I like to see this as opposed to the rookies and the prospects, which oftentimes go for a lot of money. So, Flawless Victor's Tom Brady auto. I mean, that card makes sense. It's a beautiful card. 27 grand. Seems like a lot, but boy, it's a beauty. How about this? 2020 Panini on the Horizon Gold for $23,000. The second highest selling card of the week. This one's numbered to 10. It's a cool looking card, but I got to tell you, the Panini logo, just as that card as a whole, I don't know that 23 grand of mine would have gone to that, but just interesting to see. Kelsey, Kaboom, 1 of 1, selling for a big number. That's a big number for a tight end, even though it is Kelsey. But here's the first stop that I want to make is the 2012 Prism red die cut of Tom Brady. Now, this one sold for nearly 20 grand. So I want you to keep that one in mind, because not only do we have this red with 51 bids, but also a little bit later in the auction, we're going to see this. Also a PSA 10, also a 2012, but a green. This one with half the number of bids, selling for $6,600, a third of the price of the red. So doing a little bit of research with this, of course, 2012 is the first year of Prism. We've got the golds that have been insanely popular with football, and those prices seem to be skyrocketing recently. But the green and the red are far less talked about. Now, as I did some research here looking at this, I want to highlight that the green prisms are exclusively out of retail, whereas the red is hobby only. And so that's why going back here, we see the green selling for a third of the price of the hobby, and this hobby is a die cut here as well. I also thought it would be interesting to take a look at the pop report of these, the pop count of these. So went over, of course, to PSA Pop, Tom Brady of the 2012 Prism. Now the green is 15 PSA 10s, and the red, only 2. And there's only 15 of these graded. Like, these are the red Prism die cuts, at least graded within PSA, far more difficult to come by than even the silver Prism, which sells for a lot more money than this red die cut. So that was interesting for me. Green is the retail only for the 2012 product. All right, let's keep moving along here. Is there anything else I wanted to see here? Again, we're seeing established players. This Josh Allen Blue Prism Shimmer. That's a good looking card for almost 20 grand. The National Treasures Brady. Now, here's one with Joe Burrow, and here's an interesting thing to highlight. So take a look at this 2020 Flawless, and what I want you to recognize, especially if you come from the basketball card world, is that a lot of these Flawless cards, really from 2019 to 2020, as we flip them on the back, most of these are not game worn. So, and that's just what Panini is telling us. Authentic memorabilia is not from any specific game or event. I mean, it doesn't even say that's player worn. So keep that in mind. For me, if you took someone who was not in the hobby and you explained to them this patch auto and why they sell for so much, especially with Flawless, and you explain to that person that this piece of jersey is not from anything, yet it commands the highest price because it's a rookie patch auto, they would probably look at you a little funny and ask why. And I think if it doesn't pass the natural common sense test, then just personally for me, it's not a card that I want to chase. The 2013 Contenders Gold ticket, this is one that I was on the fence of doing a deep dive of. Perhaps in a future auction, we'll come back and just read about the golden tickets. But that won't be for this week. I do want to highlight the kabooms. As you could tell from the thumbnail, I want to highlight these kabooms because kabooms seem to be demanding a high price on the market, especially gold kabooms. And this 2023 Puka Nakua is no different. So let's see if we've got this here. Okay, so you see that this sold for $9,000, which that's a pretty big price. The golds are, of course, numbered to 10. It's a PSA 9, 51 bids on this. It's a pretty hefty price tag. It's pop count of 5. As we go and take a look at this, here's the thing that's more of note to me. So even a year ago, almost a year to the date, through Alt and then even through Probstein, both of them were auctions. This card went for just about half of what it sold for now. And you just see with several auctions as well, which makes me think it's more of established that this was a true price for this Puka Nakua Kaboom Gold a year ago. And now we see with kind of the bullish market that we're in, and especially with the Kaboom Golds, you hear people talk about repackers buying these and utilizing them to put in their product, whatever the case may be. The price of this one has certainly doubled. I don't know that Puka Nakua has done anything in the past 12 months that would really have driven up his price, but, just as a performance standpoint, but I think the Kaboom Gold really commands it. So let's go back here. Okay, so this is the first time that we're seeing, really, I think, at least the first one I'm noticing, a rookie from last year. The Uptowns, mimicking the Downtowns. This one's out of Optic. The White Sparkle 1 of 1 of Penix, $7,500. You see another Burrow. Of course, the 97 Precious Metal Gems, wildly popular in basketball, wildly popular in football as well. Maybe another episode we'll do a little bit deeper dive into these PMGs, but for Reggie White, a defensive player, defensive tackle, we don't often see high card prices, but he made it on the front page with this $7,500. How about this? Here's an interesting little thought experiment. What would you rather have? A PMG, although it's Reggie White, great player, but defensive lineman, PSA 6, number to 150, or a 1 of 1 National Treasures of one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play, patch auto. This patch from National Treasures, it's during a time frame that it could be game worn in the mid 2010s. I don't think it is. No, it's player worn. At least here they tell you it's player worn, but interesting. Still a beautiful card. That's a big price tag, and that is a really cool card. Autograph isn't super great on this, but that's okay. All right, so let's continue through this first page and see if anything else stands out. Looks like it jumped us back up. So let's go on to page number 2. And while we do this, I want to take just a moment. If you are enjoying this, please take just a second. Make sure you're logged in. Give it a thumbs up. Share with someone. And please feel free to leave a comment below. What you like, what you don't like. Or if you see anything on these cards that you want to add to the group's education, then please feel free to do it. This PMG Red Elway PSA 7, I feel like I've seen this card a few times recently. It seems like the one I saw before was number 7, and it was a PSA 7. This one's 142, 6,900. It's a good looking card. I see why people like them. I do not currently own any of these, but something that's on my radar. We got more Burrow, more Jordan Love. The Color Blast. I'm curious about the Color Blast because as we do our product reviews on Card Talk with Mrs. Doc, which comes out on podcast and YouTube form, you'll hear us talk about all the latest products, and so many football products, even basketball products, have been doing Color Blasts. Are you getting Color Blast fatigue? Are you getting Kaboom fatigue or Downtown fatigue? It seems like Panini is just hammering these out before their license expires later this year. Jordy Nelson Finite Prism 1 of 1. And this is the 2013 Prism, so the second year. And of note, if you listen to Stacking Slabs and the Football Card podcast, their big discussion and big purchase from the Chicago Bears fan, and I forget the host's name, which makes me mad because I listen to them every week. But the 2012 Prism Jay Cutler recently sold for over 10 grand. Beautiful cards, and I think they're a really big deal. Dan Marino PSA 10 for 5,400. Boy, what would you rather have? A Drake May Gold or a Marino PSA 10? Pop counts are wildly different. On another episode, we'll dive into some older stuff with Dan Marino, but I've got another one in mind for this episode that we'll get to. Boy, Daniel Jones, he sure has been playing well this year. Sure looks like the Giants have been the ones holding him back because he has been a beast the first 3 weeks of this season. And who knows, maybe this card ends up being a steal. A National Treasures Shield Auto 1 of 1. This Shield isn't going to be game worn, is my suspicion. It might not even be player worn. No, it is player worn used. Boy, this could end up being a steal. I don't know. What do you think? $4,600? At the end of the season, are we looking back on that and saying what a steal someone got? Maybe. It's possible. All right, let's keep moving through. I don't think I missed anything on that sheet that I wanted to go over. I just want to do a couple more cards that I had seen going through earlier. There's another Daniel Jones for 4,000. And again, with these National Treasures, one thing of note is the true RPA. You see that shield here. They would flip every other year. The true RPA, one would be vertical, and then the next year they would do horizontal. So in 2019, they were horizontal, and I believe that in 2020 they went vertical. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I want to highlight, let's go a little bit older with this Joe Montana. So this is a PSA 9 of 1981 Topps. And part of the thought for me to highlight these cards is, this card has obviously been around for almost 4.5 decades, but I wanted to learn just a little bit more about the pricing of it and the pop count. So $3,600. And what I did is pulled up Card Ladder for this. And I want you guys to be able to explore this with me. So when you click on the pop count here, look at this for PSA cards. Oh, this is actually for all grades. 53,000 of these Joe Montanas have been graded. PSA, for what we were just looking at, 2,200 PSA 9s exist. That's a lot. $2,800 for that card. It's one of the greats of all time. The PSA 10, only 115 of these. And you can see the gem rate across all is less than 1%. And I like that, right? I mean, it makes this old card rare if you get it in perfect condition. Look at the price on this. Usually we see a jump, not so much in vintage, but just as we look at more modern cards, a jump from a 9 to a 10, maybe you see anywhere from a 2 to a 5x on the extreme. Not this one. Boy, almost 35x on that. But it's pretty cool. I mean, you can even get a pretty decent copy, like an 8 or an 8.5, for less than $1,000. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, which I think is pretty cool. All right, so that is the Montana. Let us continue. Jerry Rice on card signature. That's an 8.5 and an auto 10. That's not nothing. I like that a lot. We've seen a few of these manga cards in here. This one, Bo Nix. Of course, my guy's a Denver Bronco fan. Mangas are interesting. Do they catch your eye? Are they something that you chase after and collect? I know that there's a market for them. I mean, certainly there's a $3,400 market for Bo Nix, but kind of interesting. My dog's growling in the background. She doesn't care for it. The Passing the Torch. Let's talk about this. So the 1999 Donruss Elite Passing the Torch Peyton Manning. This one sold for $3,300. It's Peyton Manning's second year. But here's something that I recently was turned on to, and I want to make sure I share the knowledge with you. It's an auto. It's numbered to 1,500. So I think to myself, did he really sign 1,500 of these? No, not the case. So take a look at this. This is from Beckett, the 1999 Donruss Elite Passing the Torch autographs. The serial number on the back of the card says 1,500, but only the first 100 were actually signed. And in that set from the Peyton Manning that we just saw, the very famous Walter Payton, Barry Sanders duo with this thought one of the last cards that Walter Payton perhaps signed. So this set from 1999 was a really big deal. I came across a Manning Elway, both of which in a Broncos uniform, recently. It was on eBay, and I had it in my save searches for a while, and I didn't end up buying it. And I regretted it. I reached out to the seller, and he ultimately had sold it to somewhere else. But anyway, the highlight here, the first 100 are the ones that were signed. And this Peyton Manning, $3,300. It's a pretty good looking autograph and pretty cool looking card too. So I thought that one was fun to highlight. Okay, so we've got some rice. We've got another manga, it appears, for Brian Thomas. Yep. We're starting to see some more modern players and rookies in this $3,000 price range. Trevor Lawrence, boy, this is a big year to prove himself here. Big year to prove himself. All right, let's go on to the last page. And while this is loading, I want to take a second here to remind everyone of our website, pttfpodcast.com. From there, up in the corner of the screen, you can certainly click on our affiliate links. Here, let me show you here. And get some discounts on your everyday card goods, whether it's BCW supplies. Of course, they have the card catalog that we highlighted on last week's main episode of Pack to the Future. You get 10% off here. Zion cases, Preza cards, which is a binder that holds your slabs. All of those things are for you. But the way that you can help support the show, if you enjoy this content, is click on our eBay affiliate link. You click here. As long as you're logged in, you shop as planned, and everything that you buy in the next 24 hours comes at no additional cost to you, but gives the show a small kickback in the process. And we certainly appreciate it. And again, that's at pttfpodcast.com. All right, let's continue on. What I think is the last page and the last card I want to highlight, which is, believe it or not, Will Anderson Jr. It's another Kaboom Gold. $3,000 for this Kaboom Gold. It's a PSA 9. It is a rookie card. It's got the badge on there, which I think is meaningful. Number 2 out of 10. But boy, oh boy, that seemed like a big price to me. So I wanted to go through and pull this up through Card Ladder, because I wondered, is Will Anderson just that big of a deal where he's commanding this, or has he followed the trend of Puka where we've seen his cards jump up? And you know what? It's the bull market, and it's the Kaboom Golds just going nuts. I mean, over the past year, we've had 4 sales for, half or less for 3 out of the 4 of this $3,000 auction through Fanatics. So really, these Kabooms are just blowing up. Truth be told, I own a Von Miller Kaboom Gold, and it's really made me think. Von Miller is a Bronco fan, very near and dear to my heart. But also, if you've listened to the show, I'm collecting Peyton Manning, and I've always been a quarterback guy back in the time when I was a high school football coach, played quarterback, and maybe now's the time to sell it and make a hard decision and sell it to go buy something else. But that's a thought for another day. All right, well, I think that about does it for what I wanted to do for episode 1. So I'm really curious about your thoughts. Love to hear your feedback. Of course, you can catch us at Pack to the Future Podcast on Instagram. We have a main show, podcast, and YouTube channel, which of course you are viewing here. I would appreciate it all again if you would like this video. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to try and put these out each and every single week. One thing I do with all the medical students that I have come through. Yes, we call me Dr. Chad, but I am in fact a doctor. I have medical students who come through with me. The easiest way that I can get them to retain information is to have them teach it back to me. So, your assignment in the comments below, what's the biggest thing you learned? Did you learn I was an idiot? Did you learn something else about one of these cards? Go ahead and type it in the comments below. Be happy to have some community here. Let's learn something each and every week. All right, I'll catch you guys next week. Take care.